sessions, ONX, the old New Venture Gear, and a nice master plan that they're working on, so that was very helpful. Very informative too, relative to the condo legal split. Interesting. Is that a real process, a long process to?
Yes. But it seems to be their only option.
All right, thank you. So Doug Versella. Yep, approval of the minutes.
The July 27th minutes, since we had moved.
Yeah. Move second. Joe? Yeah. All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. We don't need somebody here for the subdivision, do we?
Well, if I don't believe we do, no, we can do that, but are they planning on coming? Are they online, maybe?
Well, I did talk to him, I thought he was gonna come, and I think he's right there.
Oh, they put you on first.
You did?
Yeah, so you're in a grand entrance. So your name, please?
Good evening, Joe Tellerico.
Joe. Welcome.
Thank you.
We only do that to the brightest and the best on first. Y'all, we've looked at this. Joe, do you want to say anything? Just a brief summary.
Good evening, Joe Tellerico, Tellerico Law Firm. I represent B&B Family Limited Partnership. Yeah, really, it's a matter of cleaning up the property boundary. There's a property boundary between the two buildings. And there was an HVAC system, because they had the flooring company over there at the G&A Enterprises. And they built a $250,000 filtration system, so there's no lint or dust because they're doing flooring. So it came out a little bit, so we're trying to clean up the property lines. So just move the property line over a little bit, and then at the bottom, there was that little sliver. They kind of just sat there in no man's land, so we're just trying to clean up the property boundary. Really, that was all that was intended here. And there's a pending sale to Ironhorn, the Cleghorn brothers, and that was what the impetus for all this was.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've reviewed this several times. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the subdivision plan as presented, entitled map of B&B properties lot line adjustment, and dated July 25th, 2023, made by Stephen Seiner, land surveyor, with the following findings. Number one, it's a simple subdivision of land under the code, as no new lot lines are created. This involves movement of lot lines. Two, the resulting lots of this lot line adjustment does not substantially change the manner in which the lots have been practically utilized, but is primarily for the convenience of the owner, and a more accurate reflect the use of the lots and the use of the separate building to conform with the lot lines. The lots are currently non-conforming with respect to setbacks, but the adjustment does not increase any existing non-conformities. Three, accordingly, and in light of the above, the board waives the public hearing requirement for the subdivision that is permitted by the code, where there are no new lots created and there is no public interest in this lot line adjustment. Or the board has reviewed the EAF submitted by the applicant and issues a negative secret declaration for the project, finding no significant adverse environmental events. And five, applicant must file subdivision map with the Onondaga County Clerk's Office in accordance with the rules of Onondaga County, and provide a copy of the stamp filed map with the county with Department of Financial. That's a motion. Second. Nathan, all in favor? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great day. Thank you.
You've never been this efficient in my entire life.
Yeah, you're referring to us or you?
Oh, all you. Just an innocent bystander. All right, thank you. Yeah, have a great night.
Not innocent, no, we're culpable. Salt City Construction, this is one where we discussed a little bit with the temporary concrete, and we debated a lot of issues, as I mentioned earlier in previous work sessions, but we're now here for the source, exactly what you're looking for.
Yep. I have a thumb drive here. just got a PowerPoint, is it possible to get it plugged in? Yeah. Okay.
Which wire is it, Nathan?
Go right up to the top.
Oh, the,
Plug it right in.
gotcha. So,
Here's some bonus details. Great.
I'll stumbling in here. I usually-
Got it. Yeah.
So,
All right, so my name is Joe Brooks. I'm with Cold Spring Construction. This is Jeff Gordon, VP of Cold Spring. Our proposal is to bring our concrete bed plant here to the site that Heidelberg Materials owns on Rock Cut Road. I wanted to talk a little bit about this.
yeah, so just to start off, I'll give you guys a little bit of background in terms of why we're here. Cold Spring Construction was founded in 1911 by my great grandfather. We've been in the heavy highway, heavy civil arena for construction in kind of the western half of New York State, since its, entire existence. Starting in the late 70s, early 80s, producing concrete to coincide with our construction projects across western New York has become kind of a staple of how we do business and tackle these large projects such as the 81 project that we're going to talk about in a minute. So for the last several decades, taking a mobile concrete batch plant and mobilizing it to a site nearby where our construction projects are underway is something that we've done routinely. We've in this area locally, I think it was back in roughly around 2015, we actually had the same exact batch plant set up for a throughway project at the 81 and throughway interchange. Some of you may be familiar with the stretch of concrete pavement on the throughway out in the Weedsport area. We had the same batch plant set up out there, so this is something that we do routinely. We take it to where the work is, allows us to be efficient, maintain an aggressive schedule, and have that quality control of producing our own mix to tackle the projects as efficiently as we can. So that's kind of a good.
1 second.
Sure.
So what is your company? Because I see a couple
Okay,
different things.
that's a great question. So we're here with Cold Spring Construction. Cold Spring is currently involved in basically a joint venture called Salt City Constructors. We have the first contract of the 81 Viaduct project, which is kind of the northern half of the project, not contract 2, which is down here in this neck of the woods. So we are part of a tri-venture. Cold Spring is teamed up with Lancaster Development and DA Collins, and the three of us companies are working together as Salt City Constructors. So that's why, we're here. Cold Spring Construction owns the batch plant, but we're here as, on behalf of Cold Spring, but producing the concrete for Salt City Constructors. So
Terry, we just need to make sure that it's not on it's listed here as Salt City Construction, which is another company here in Syracuse.
Okay.
Or in.
But that's on the application.
Well, the most recent application, I revised that and it's now under Cold Spring Construction.
Salt City.
Okay.
Yeah, we're putting the batch plant underneath Cold Spring Construction.
Okay.
That's what the
Okay.
application.
I'll make that correct.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, because it confused me on here as Salt City Construction, and then we had Cold Spring Construction, and then
Right.
Salt City Constructors. So we just gotta clear it up.
absolutely, no, that's a
Who we're
great
reviewing.
question, good catch. So, yeah, that's the background, and we'll dive into it here.
So. Here's the location of the batch plant, our proposed batch plant rather. You've got, right here's your 481-81 South Interchange. Here's Rock Cut Road. Here's the old Hanson Heidelberg Quarry. Got Drumlin's Golf Course right here, and then we're gonna be right there at the bottom of the hill, right off of 481. There's two, bridges on the interstate that will go underneath. They are, I'm assuming this road was the main entrance and access to the quarry back when it was active.
So what with your truck traffic, just while I got that up, how will that proceed?
So trucks that get loaded with concrete will come out of here to the stop sign, come up to this exit and head north on 481. All loaded trucks will come that way. The majority of your aggregate trucks are gonna be coming from here right to there, and then every once a week you get like a load of concrete.
Say that again, so right from there, so that'll be coming down Janesville Road?
Yeah, so
And
Janesville
left.
Road quarry, and they'll
Left.
turn on the Rock Cut Road off of Janesville Road and head right down.
Up by the diner.
Yeah, right next to the diner, exactly.
But I think that road is posted though.
Is it?
Yeah, there's no truck traffic.
The bridge and the road.
Well, it's not the bridge. I think it's because of those people on Ogle and down that way. I think it's just posted for no heavy trucks because I think you're gonna have to go to 81 or 481 to Brighton Ave and back around.
Oh,
I don't think, I think.
Gotcha. That's good to know.
It's technically a weight limit, but I think it's just to keep trucks out of there.
Mhm,
I just know that being a local,
right,
right? So,
That's good information.
but I think, you know, there's only a handful of houses there, but I think that Rosselli goes up in the,
Yeah,
The old
he turns over, left.
but I think anything beyond that, I think
and I know you have the
Yeah, resource
the
recovery.
recycling center there,
and they don't come that way.
they don't come that way? Alright, so yeah, that's what we'll have to do, we'll have to bring everything in.
Just a quick question, just it's fascinating to me, but so you have the northern contract but is this the most expeditious, efficient? Or are you anticipating getting them?
Well, originally, we did bid contract two, we were hoping to get it, we did not, but after. Extensive searching for open areas, our relationship with Heidelberg, it just made sense to be down here for getting the aggregates out of them and whatever, that was why we went with the decision of this site.
Okay.
But,
Truck all the material someplace else and it's still the concrete.
right, and it's really from this site to the job site is 15-20 minutes.
No, I do it
max,
all,
which isn't too bad at all.
that's right up there near Chick-fil-A, so, oh, well.
But, so this is the layout of our batch plant, this is our, we have it overlaid on what the site looks like right now. You have 130 foot by 85 foot pad, it's built up or just a little bit, just so that the mixer can dump into the trucks. I have a couple pictures later where I can show that, but. We would be bringing in, probably. To build the pad, you're probably looking at. Maybe 400 or 500 yards of material, that's a one-time thing, and then after that. You mentioned you're concerned about traffic, after that, our loads drop dramatically once we get this thing set up. But anyway, this is the footprint of the site. CNS was able to give us some contours. Everything drains this way, but this site doesn't actually have any sort of contaminants, so the only thing it does have is it has a concrete wash. We have to wash out of the concrete trucks, to which we have portable sediment tanks that we will have basically ponds. And they filter all the way out, and then the water from there gets trucked off site. But that trucking is maybe once every 2 weeks. Not a big deal generally.
When you're in production, how many trucks are cycling through and heading the pavement?
Our average day, because the reason we want this concrete bed line is there's the sound barriers, the noise walls that are along the highway. And we're probably gonna be pouring 40 to 50 yards a day, like on a daily basis, so that's 5 loads of concrete. Heading out of there, and generally 5 loads of concrete requires 5 loads of aggregate in, so I would say our average day is probably 10. There's going to be. Certain days where we're doing like a substructure that's bigger for, but those are few and far between. Probably like the noise wall pours are gonna happen once a day, the larger substructure pours are maybe once every 2 weeks.
Do you, how long is the project that you have contracts for?
So our completion date on contract one is Labor Day 2025. So our intention is to have this up here for 2 years. Now, we are bidding the other jobs in the area. If we get one, then we'll probably have to approach you guys. And see if we can extend our stay, but as of right now, our intention is to take this out of here. Fall of 2025.
So, yeah, in my mind, that would make a difference in terms of.
It's not permanent, it's not gonna just send you left.
Yeah, no.
No.
You have 2 years,
Not at all.
and then if they come back, it could be part of the resolution.
Just in the last 10 years, it's been in 7 different sites.
What do you do site-wise once you've taken out?
Our intention is just to restore it right back to what it is right now. It's just a flat milling lot. And everything will just look like we've never been there.
Pretty much everything we mobilize in is a component of the process of making concrete, treating the wastewater after the fact, something like that. So every piece is something that we kind of leapfrog from job to job to job to tackle what we're up against. And, you know, to piggyback, you know, on Joe's point, certainly a concern, rightfully so for you guys, is the impact of traffic in the local community. So this is, we've done concrete paving jobs where we've produced, you know, 4,000 to 5,000 yards in a day. I mean, we're looking here at doing 40 yards a day, 50 yards a day. So this is not a high production. We're talking 1 or 2 trucks an hour on your average day. So this is not a high production operation, but it's from specifically to get in the weeds a little bit about what we're building. So we have to drill 3,200 foundations in the ground. And as some of you probably know, the soils up there are not the best. So to be able to row our own boat and to be able on, you know, short notice, be able to get concrete and get it up, and even it may only be one load, but be able to fill that noise wall foundation before the sides of the pole exactly slough in, fill with water. That's what we're up against, and that's why this is fruitful for us to do it. It's not about volume, it's about short notice and quality. So that's right on. Yep.
Okay.
And here's just another view. It shows the Heidelberg property and the quarry. We're just taking up this little lot right there. And as we discussed earlier, those are the 2 bridges, and it's a pretty decent road getting in there. I kind of touched on this already, but step 1 is creating the pad and bringing in the batch plant. Next, and then we're hoping to run it for about 2 years, producing concrete, and then when we're done, everything gets taken out. We have a SWIP. We've already put together a SWIP. We've got the NOI into the DEC that was submitted back in June. To Jeff earlier that we should approach it. So we think we're in pretty good shape there as far as the with the DEC. They put us under the Speedy's multi-sector general permit, which more for industrial activities, which was nice because it was the quarry. So there was nothing special or outside of the scope for DEC there.
Say that about the D.
So
That's gonna have to be signed off on that.
okay.
No, that's a good point.
But
No, but just let me just, you did say something, Wayne may know the answer to this, is this is an active quarry. I mean, you use it once a year to keep the permit.
Very minimal, just to keep the permit active, whatever the lowest threshold is, 10, 15 tons. But it's
It's live, basically.
correct.
I think I included some pictures of the batch plant. So we run off of a generator. This is the mixing drum. This concrete barrier kind of acts as a retaining wall, so that's the pad I was talking about where we've got a few hundred yards of material that can come in. The whole thing sits roughly about 4 feet off of the existing ground, just so that you can get the drum high enough to load the trucks.
And how was the tallest part of this?
Oh,
So, right.
you probably, the mixer when it's dumping or the silo, and you're probably looking at 25 feet, 30 feet.
30 foot max.
It's not much. Yeah, that's about 10 feet tall right there, so you're probably looking 25 feet. These are our conveyors for our aggregate that leads into the main plant. There's another view of the drum, our office. We store fly ash and cement in these two, they call them pigs, they kind of look like pigs. Those trailers, that's your cementitious material storage. And then, yeah, that's what I have.
Okay. That's your presentation?
Yeah.
Very well done. I'm gonna go around and see, Nathan, do you have
The
that?
only thing I did, it's for public record, I have to disclose that I work for CNS. I don't work in that department at all, but I do work for the company.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Used to work there.
Right, it's a small community. He answered a lot of questions from my part. I'm getting nods, you know, the 2-year resolution, the fact that it's 25 feet high, there's a active quarry. Kevin,
I'm okay with it.
Joe?
I'm good.
I do wanna, put out there that. So this quarry is in a high-tech district, not all of the quarry is, some is in industrial, so it's zoned high-tech. And so I think there just needs to be a finding that this is an accessory use to the quarry use, otherwise it in no way would be allowed in a high-tech district. So, does anyone, I don't know much about batch plants, I leave.
No, I don't think
It would be specifically accessory to it.
Yeah, it would be the ideal accessory.
The ideal accessory.
Okay. There we go. When I say don't know much about it.
No, we don't usually vote for approvals on a concept, but
I
this
think we need to review it, make sure we have our findings, you know, there's some DEC issues involved.
Okay,
We
with
wanna make sure we look at
With Mark and
the
Doug.
EAF, the SWIP, the seeker, so
Okay, so we,
I know you like to keep things.
No, I do like to keep things moving, but that's okay. So we need to swim the next meeting, we'll get you on the agenda.
We're doing next
I think
meeting.
if I gave you guys a copy of the SWIP, that's on the original submittal like a month ago, but I didn't send it.
I mean, I
Are there
don't think.
any regulations about it?
That's all the other stuff. They would have to.
What's the question?
Covered trucks.
Like how they have to cover the trucks when they're carrying a load and stuff like that, because
Delivery for dust.
That's a question. That's all.
it's a requirement, but they often have to get
So
reminded.
that's not out of our.
Like-
That's our company requirement.
Yeah.
Any truck running over the scales needs to tarp their load.
Okay,
Well,
yeah.
plus, I mean, we have to sign off on it, right, on the DEC, so I think that all needs time to have the appropriate,
Okay, I agree with that, but how do we, if that were to come soon, in terms of tracking the approval, the SWIP approval, and is there anything else that's
are we on,
track is what I'm concerned about.
are we on any county roads? I mean, is this going to be, does it need to go to county for approval? It's a site plan approval? And then
Yeah,
it's,
Rock Cut is a county road.
okay, so we gotta send it to some.
Okay, now,
It's already been sent.
It's already been sent.
Yes.
When was it sent?
Today.
Okay, so we're about 30. It won't be the next meeting, it'll be the meeting after.
but we
that
can,
anyway.
but don't hesitate, bring the SWIP and anything else that you have. I think the SWIP is the only thing. Doug, is there anything else?
That's what I can think of. We just make sure that the updated drawings from CNS for this.
Okay.
And those drawings came afterwards, right?
Yeah, those drawings came afterwards, I think we had.
Actually,
We
yeah,
had similar drawings in the original SWIP, but
should get that.
That's September 20. Right, so you said it was sent today. Yes. So the soft was deadline is when? When the deadline is September 6th. Right, so we're not able to make any motion or action until September.
28.
Well, that would be us. That's when, so the meeting is on the 20th of September.
Okay.
And then our meeting will be the 28th of September.
that's something that I need to be there for. No, I did. Just curious.
No. But that would be the first opportunity. We can get it.
Well, I don't, there's no, we don't have any, do you have any major issues? No. So we don't have any issues, so this is, we just need to sack, but we can't, by law, we can't approve it without the sack. I'm just thinking is there any, let's say 8 days a week? How critical is the week? I mean, is it possible to call, especially if we had to, but
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just, that's the 19th, our meeting is right after that. I mean, it's only 2 meetings from now, it's a 2-week. I remember trying to keep people on a track, so
Yeah, I know.
it was still, and it actually works out because of the county action that's required. So.
all right,
I think, Doug, is there anything else you think that we need from them that is gonna, help us get something ready?
I think Joe's point about the roads, I think for themselves, they're most, right, so.
Do we have any other piece for the road traffic?
let's go to that number.
The number is so low.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a constant operation.
Sorted. 5 to 10 trucks per day.
Yeah, that's your average.
Yep. So you don't even notice there's trash or the trash. Right, you and I. Well, no, the stuff coming out of the port anyway, it's out of there, getting.
I gotta go somewhere to make concrete.
So I, this is as good as we can do.
They'll go 41 south
Right.
to get right, turn around, and come
Yeah.
back, and then they'll get on and the,
But right next to the quarries that we get on 41 South.
Yeah, right across from the cover.
right.
So it's not gonna come down to.
No.
Yeah,
It won't go past.
So.
But getting on, they just have.
Yeah. You okay there? You understand? Oh, yeah.
I understand.
And we'll put you, I was good, excellent presentation, and we'll get you first on the agenda once we get the soccer.
Okay, let us know if we, can help with anything with the county or you guys.
I don't think there's,
There's nothing we can do.
we're gonna do it, so.
That's what they do.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, buddy. All right, Dan?
Yes, sir. You still have your jump drive. Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I think.
Which would you like to do first?
Let's do the tanks.
Okay, great. Good evening. My name is Dan Wood. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Rotor Dairy. Been there almost 7 years, actually tomorrow. So we have been expanding this site, doing ESL, just extended shelf life and aseptic production for quite a while. Our next expansion is to bolster up our aseptic. An aseptic product is basically shelf stable. So you can ship it anywhere in the country, and some of it we actually send ship down to Puerto Rico. So we're expanding our footprint in that because the demand is so significant. So the project is really about taking some of our interior space, renovating that to become a new processing space. We're taking out one of our lines, but on the exterior, and I didn't bring a nice PowerPoint, I apologize. But on the exterior, we're proposing to put some of the silos similar to what we have in our existing silo outpost A and B with the lights, and putting that in front of the 481. That right now we have that big window, taking that window out and putting a concrete pad there that's about 90 feet long, and an enclosure for one of our, what we call our fluid coolers, basically an HVAC unit with a concrete masonry split face enclosure around it so you can't see it from the highway, and adding three 60,000 gallon silos and two 20,000 gallon silos, identical to what we have around the rest of the building, and then putting that uplighting that we put in a couple of years ago. And that will allow us to separate our aseptic processing from an existing space and continue, and actually reduces our material loss, we call it MUV or material use variance, as well as keep that aseptic processing space separate from the rest of the facility.
Is anybody not, we showed this before. So you all saw it, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So that's the proposal, and the request is for approval to put this pad in total is about 125 feet long on the existing face. We would put a small retaining wall because the slope down to our pond that we just renovated is a little steep, so we put a CMU retaining wall down there
and with the landscaping that's proposed in the drawing, as well as the 5 silos. We're gonna start with 3 of the 60,000 and then 1 of the 20,000, have space for 20,000. We would renovate the existing building space, take out that windows that's there because that's right in front of those silos. We don't need that. And then renovate it to what is the existing structure is. That's basically the extent. Any questions to what?
Well, you left out one part, the really important part from your perspective, operations, savings, from not only is it additional, extra capacity, but there's a financial reason.
Yeah, this is driven by our need to move the equipment closer. Right now, as we have been expanding this building over the course of the 18 years, our processing space that is basically the sterilization step is at one end of the building, it's on the north, and we keep moving our packaging farther and farther away. So some of these pipe runs, which are 3.5-inch pipes, are 300 feet long, very significant, a lot of loss. And frankly, that loss is very significant. Some of our products that we make are $10 a gallon, so very expensive. So by moving this processing space closer, it saves us a significant amount of loss of the product, which basically goes down the drain and has to be treated. So it's got an economic or environmental impact to it, even though it goes to the waste treatment plant downtown. In addition to that, it separates the system, so it gives us greater capacity in our existing ESL lines. We have nine lines there now, actually 10 right now, but it'll allow us to expand 2 more lines within the existing bricks and mortar that we have, as well as repurpose some of those lines. So it's got an economic impact. It's also got an energy impact, because every time you take this processed material that's either at extremely high temperature or extremely low temperature, you have to basically heat it or cool it. And by moving this closer to where the filling is, it's got a significant impact on energy consumption as well.
What's your total impact that financially is out?
This project should drive, the actual cost of the project is about $27 million.
How about the savings, annual savings?
The annual savings is about $5.5 million. So it's got an ROI of about 4 years. And it allows us to significantly increase the throughput out of that plant by another 15% without any more bricks and mortar than those pads and the silos outside, which is pretty significant. We do in the range of about 500 million pounds a year out of that plant. So we'll be able to add that.
Excuse me, the tanks, where are they coming from?
The tanks are coming from Feldmeyer, which is about 5.5 miles from the site, where we buy all of our.
I think that was a setup.
Yeah.
I think we all saw that.
Yeah, and we have a
Nice try.
Yeah, we have a long-standing relationship with them, and I think they've sold us silos for, gosh, at least 40 years, something in that range. So as a matter of fact, they like sending them to us because it's about a 15-minute drive versus sitting somewhere else. So we have a close relationship with them. They're also providing all of the inside tanks, so we have 40,000 gallons of storage on the inside that are 4 10,000 gallon silos. But they're inside the building, so you never see them.
Couple questions.
Yes, sir.
From the edge of the building, the site tapers downhill down to the pond that's down there.
Yes,
How far off the building do you see a pad coming off the edge of the building?
it's 18 feet.
18 feet.
Yeah.
And the silos will be in the middle of that pad, so they'll be about 5 or 6 feet off the building and then the silo.
Yeah, it's a little bit closer than 5 feet.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be about 2 to 3
And then
feet.
your retaining wall that gets us up to pad level, does that continue up for the screening wall, or is the screening wall only at the area where your cleanings are?
The screening wall is just at that area, so you'll only see that brick face comes out, comes around and back. And it'll go full height, and so we have the IMP, the insulated metal panels that go above that, that'll match the existing one. So it's basically a little extension out. It's open to structure above because it's basically a big HVAC unit with evaporative cooling in there. So we're gonna have louvers on the north and the south side, but from the highway side, it's the brick face that we have.
And it'll be the same as colors
Absolutely, yep.
and the same material
Mhm.
and the facing.
We're lighting these guys too?
We are lighting these as well, yes, and putting a little bit more power to them.
The resolution.
Yeah,
More wattage.
yeah, we really like that. It's a lot of people comment on it to us about, that's really nice. Can we do those everywhere? So we have the same plant down in Cortlandville, we're considering doing that down there, and they're excited about that as well.
Any other questions? I think, great, so we just dot the i's, cross the t's, and get that to us.
Okay, very good.
Thank you. You wanna continue with your, the
Yeah.
temporary boiler?
Yes, so we've got a permit is approved for an expansion on the other side, which allows us to more or less double the capacity of the plant. And that's a little bit more of a significant investment, 3 times as much, actually 4 times as much. So in the interim, in order to continue to supply the steam that we have, and because the steam gives us barriers to maintain the sanitation of the silos and of all the equipment in there, we take a lot of steam. We currently have 2 600 horsepower boilers, or excuse me, 1 600 and 2 800 horsepower boilers. But it's just barely enough to keep us going. We have to do annual maintenance, which brings in a temporary boiler, which is in a big trailer that sits there for about 2 months. And as we continue to expand this with this additional 15% output, also increases our steam requirement. And the phase 2 design system that we did about a year or so ago actually has a significant space for our future expansion of boilers. We have 4 more 1,000 horsepower boilers that we're going to put in. But before we start that one, we really need that for this expansion that we have here. So what we're proposing is we take some of our existing silos pads that we abandoned when we put in our waste treatment plant a year and a half ago, and we put a temporary boiler building in there and a 1,000 horsepower boiler as a temporary. When we build the other building, we're next building around it. So this structure is a temporary enclosure for this boiler. It's basically a pre-engineered metal building with the same color scheme that we have here, as well as all of the landscaping plan that we've gone through to make sure that we're keeping it as maintained as we can. And it's a temporary structure between 18 and 24 months until we start that next phase, are able to build basically around that. Once we get the concrete slabs in, take down the building, and we complete the construction around the space. That's the scope. Any questions on that?
We did look at the site plan when that is, and I don't think it's visible from the road. No,
There's no noise.
no noise, and there's landscape it, and then we'll put the resolution that'll be the next 2 years. That's a temporary structure. Yeah,
Exactly.
the house I want to take apart is the house that you get coming in, if you're coming in.
Oh, yeah, we wouldn't mind that.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one.
Let's have one of those concrete trucks out with big, like.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and then thank you. We've been briefed well, and so now let's just go with the detail.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Jerry, did you have anything else? I saw you give us
I give you an update, just, so we've taken about 6 off the list, so I'll update those off. Right now, for the next meetings, we got 6 potentials that'll be ready. Obviously, Will Wallace must come back. Technology we have at Fly Road will be ready. East Tennessee Street across from Wegmans. Will be ready. Tyler and Marble over on the Center Road. Holy Cross Festival.
Okay,
Please,
please, let's get that.
please, let's do that, please.
Yeah,
So I thought in the workshop, getting more information from some of the board, looking at more details, but maybe that's something. That's what's.
and if anybody needs to come in on a work session, I thought we had really productive work sessions the last, next.
There might be 2 or 3 others that are ready. Well, we got a couple. 3.
All right, thank you all. Joe, we got you off on time. He's gonna make his dinner appointment.
I don't know about my, Joe wants pilot, I think, part of the conversation, and not we had the rack discussion.
Do you want to do that now, or should we adjourn the meeting? That's better. Either one. Let's adjourn the meeting. To adjourn second. Joe, and then all in favor, close the meeting. Oh, thank you. Yeah, thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
So then with the tracks. Are